Mr. Naqshbandi, I'd like to start with you. It's a very difficult topic, obviously. You lost family members in this massacre. I hate to take you back to the time when this unfolded, but for the sake of our viewers, for those watching, help us understand what happened when you were a young boy and this unfolded.
I think I rather confine myself to the incident as to what really happened, because I am one of the very few survivors of that Holocaust.
You were, Mr. Aman, 6 or 7 years old when this happened?
Local political leaders, they agreed. Yeah, exactly. I remember most of the things. Thank God my memory serves me very well until now. And I can narrate it, more of a narrative, which I am going to touch upon. And if you allow me to start as to how did it start, how did they manage to convince the local leaders that they could convince the Muslims of Jammu to gather at parade ground in Jammu city, where all the Muslims of Jammu city and surrounding areas, they all assembled there with their families, with their children and all that. That was a pre-planned conspiracy. They wanted to kill and eliminate each and every Muslim of Jammu city because they were very, liberal not in the sense, but they were very, very alive about the situation going on and the creation of Pakistan, the independence of Pakistan. They were very, very alive to this situation. So therefore, the Maharaja then thought that they are the one, let's get rid of them and let's get them eliminated. So that's how under a planned conspiracy, they, they convinced the local political leaders to convince the Muslims to assemble at the parade ground of Jammu, where all the people, people around Jammu city also. And the pity and the shame is that our leaders didn't understand as to what was the conspiracy behind, and why did they decide that they should take all these Muslim population across the border to Sialkot. Suchetgarh was the border's name. Anyway, so they all got there, and then the first convoy was on the 5th of November, and that was Massacre 2. I would like to mention two names today. One is Tariq Masood, who just died, of Ambassador's younger brother, and of my eldest brother, who was like my father to me, and who used to write and used to have 6th of November a gathering at his house. That is not yesterday. But anyway, talking of the incident, so we all were taken to, I don't know, made sit in the trucks and the buses and all that. And I, being very young, I was sitting in the lap of my mother. My sisters were in the same bus, 3 bus sisters. And when from the main road, they turned the convoy towards the road which was not the real road. It was off the main road, off the whatever. And nobody could feel, because it was all the people, the occupant of the buses and the trucks were based on women and children. And how would they know? Because the men thought they should send their children first, and then later on they can join them. But that, unfortunately, thing was not going to happen. They didn't know that. Anyway, so when we got to some unknown place, and on one side was a thick jungle full of bushes, and where the people, the Hindus and the other, were hiding themselves. And they, all of a sudden, when the buses stopped, they all of a sudden came out of those bushes, and they came out with their swords and with their knives and with their guns and I don't know what not. And they started rampage of killing people. And if I narrate my personal episode, which is very tragic, and I get carried away also when I talk about this subject, when they tried to kill me, I was clinging to my mother's legs. I wouldn't leave her. And they wanted to kill me with a sword. But instead of, she didn't let them do that. She still probably had that energy in her, the poor woman, God bless her soul, my Shaida mother. And she pushed them, whatever the force or energy she was left with. And she saved me and started asking me, Aman, jump into the canal. There was a small canal on the left side of the track where they had parked the cars and the buses. So I just couldn't, think that I will leave my mother like that. But by that time, she pushed me out of her legs, and then they came and they attacked on my mother, on her head. And she started profusely bleeding. I could see that, So I will get carried away if I narrate that thing too, intimately. But I kept looking back, and I could see my poor mother, God bless her soul, bleeding profusely. And she kept shouting, Aman, jump into the canal, jump into the canal. I wouldn't have the courage to do that, leaving my mother just like that. But eventually, because I was a small kid, I couldn't just get into the canal. And the river, the water in the canal was much less. So I think she was an angel woman who probably knew us, the family. She got hold of me and she carried me across the canal, because on the other side, they had not planned that the people could cross in that cold water, icy cold water. And so they were more concentrated on killing and slaughtering the children and the women on the one side where the buses and the trucks were stopped, were parked. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I know that scene when I think of, my dear friends, I swear to you, I really feel like crying. It was something very, very serious. Anyway, sorry. So I crossed the river, the canal, along with that angel lady, and then after that, I'm told by my elder brother, who died a little while ago, who said there was a Muslim brigadier in the Indian Army who had come when he had heard that the kind of massacre which was going on, right. And he came and tried to stop the further killing and a massacre. So whatever the people were left who were wounded and injured, wounded more, bleeding everybody, there was blood all over. That's one thing which I can't stand in my life now.
Of course, it must have had such a huge effect on you growing up. But tell us a little about what
my sister, who was my eldest sister, she was put in the truck. I don't know, she had 3 children. They were also massacred. They were also martyred. My brother-in-law, sisters, my brothers, and we all, I include, there are 17 people, including my small nephews, even smaller than mine, I don't know. And this was the thing which went on and on and on till that gentleman, that brigadier came. And then they put us in the trucks and the buses back, and they took us to a nearby village, which is known as Dagiana, and there they put us in the open field under the sky. We had nothing up on our heads except the blue skies. And we were there, and well, that again is very sad to narrate. And the way we were kept there for 17 long days, believe you me, we were not given even a drop of water, what to talk of a glass of water. But there was a pond in that village where the cattle, you would go and drink water and do whatever dirt they would. And that was the water, the only thing which was available for us to go and drink it with our hands, well, we became very, very sick later on. Anyway, the other source was the Dogra forces who had surrounded and captured the village. They were the one who would sell the, chanas, I don't know what you would call that.
Mr. Aman, we can't even imagine the pain and the suffering you went through as a child to remember so vividly how you lost your mother and your siblings and your close family members. But now, 7 decades later, when you see the Kashmir dispute once again getting a lot of international attention, do you feel there will be justice for those who lost their lives on this fateful day?
I think I would like to suggest you as a senior citizen of this country and the survivor of that massacre of Jammu of 6th of June, 6th of November, I think you should be thinking and focusing on that. You should highlight that, the importance or the significance of this tragedy, or what the Indian Prime Minister has done it now to the division of Jammu and Kashmir state. And the killings are still going on, the atrocities are still going on, and I don't know anybody from Pakistan can do anything unless we go into a war, which I'm sure the government of Pakistan would not like it. So therefore, the more we think about it and go in deep into the issue, and you educate people, you tell people, my story, I want that everybody should hear that, okay, what had happened and what's happening even now, after as many decades. I have written a book, and in that book, I've given a good account about two chapters. Okay. On this tragedy of Jammu. Okay. And it's a very good narrative, I can say myself, because the book, when it was published, it was sold like anything. Okay. And a local Mr. Books, they took the right of distribution of the book, which they did it, and the books were sold like hell.
Okay, so Mr. Aman.